Maxine Cunningham, welcome to the Human to Human podcast, my friend. I'm so grateful to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here.
And we've been chatting for like 6 minutes already. And already I've said to you 6 times that we should have already hit record, but we were just too busy in conversation.
And I'm going to be like, habitual change, switch your Zoom setting to automatically record because all that happens before the podcast is always the best. And it's the warm up. And I was telling this to someone else. I was like, you know how you go watch sports warm up? You love the warm up. Like we watch athletes warm up. Podcasts, you warm up too. I got to go through a flow. We get in flow. We start talking and that stuff is interesting. So yeah.
I totally agree with you. And lately I've been sending a lot of self tapes because I act also. I got into acting last year. Some of the best parts of any of my self tapes have been the bloopers, the warm ups leading up to it. And Brandy has been my reader, and it's just like hilarious. And anytime we hit record, the stuff that we're doing before we hit record is outrageous. We're like dancing, we're screaming, we're just being like little kids. And it's, if only you could include that part in the submission as well.
You should. I bet you'll get more gigs if you do. Switch it.
You know what?
Just she like said the exact same
thing. She said the exact same thing. So I will definitely let her know afterwards. So Maxine, I'm really excited to interview you today. And I'm going to make this more about a conversation that me and you are going to have and less about, hey, what do I think the listeners want to hear? So there's a lot we want to talk about today. Just the name of your business, well, I guess we're going to talk about that too. Yeah. There's so many things we're going to talk about. And before we dive into the importance of trading or sharing your time and knowledge and experience with others, talking about more meaningful things in life, talking about the importance of compensation, gift economy, knowledge economy, all of this amazing ideas, tell us a little bit more about who is Maxine today and what brought you here.
To this podcast or to this world?
To where you are today in life.
Okay. So my name's Maxine. Who I am today, primarily my main hat is the CEO of Pick My Brain, which is an organization. My mission behind that organization and my personal mission, my professional mission, my team mission is to organize the world's brains and make them more creatively available, accessible, and useful to society. That is who I am. I solve that problem in everything I approach is like, how do we unlock more economic and social opportunities between people and make that happen? How do we rebirth a new economy where, again, we start to sell each other and exchange with each other with more with things that are outside of just products, right? Like, can we expand our offerings? You have a bunch of offerings in you. I could list off 10 just having one conversation with you. So do I. And they just come from here. You just put them out there. You do it all the time. You're amazing at it, right? Here's an offer. Here's an offer. Here's some fun. Here's some offers, right? And if we can all learn how to unlock those offers and upload them to a marketplace, right? We've seen how the marketplace is very effective. What does that farmer's market look like? What does that exchange look like? What does that new economy look like? So that's what I spend all of my time thinking about. It's all I can see in people. Like, if I was to put on some Google glasses right now, my ideal Google glasses would to see all the things that I can order from you.
That's a really neat idea. And the question or the comment of Pick My Brain, I'm so fascinated by that. The first time I heard it, it just kind of like slapped me in the face, because consistently we're all being asked from somebody, a stranger, a friend, an acquaintance, hey man, can I just pick your brain for like 10 minutes? Hey, can I pick your brain for 30 minutes? Hey, can I pick your brain? And it's just like, I want to help, but I also don't want to help sometimes, because it's just, everyone wants something. They want something. What gave you the idea of creating a platform or a marketplace where you can solve the dreaded pick my brain dilemma?
Yeah, you and thousands of professionals. There's one of Forbes' biggest articles is like, no, you can't pick my brain. It costs too much to maintain, right? And anyone that on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram that bridges this topic, what do you do? Because your immediate response is yes, because you're being prompted for your greatest asset, which is your thoughts and your opinions and your ideas, right? You're like, awesome, yeah. But at the same time, you do have to protect yourself and your energy and your knowledge, and it is an exchange. So that problem exists, right? I'm solving for that problem, this here's my prediction. My prediction, the problem I'm solving is there are a bunch of smart people out there that want to share their time, knowledge, experience, ideas, and opinions. But, they need barriers. They need to be rewarded. There needs to be some formal system in place because it is precious energy with each other. So my solution is Pick My Brain, an online tool, community, marketplace, and platform that says, I'm open to having my brain picked under these rate, rules, and availability. I'm also open to other things like coffee and conversations. I do 10 coffee and conversations a year. Sometimes I do private one-on-one consulting. I would love to know that about everyone. So I can exchange. I think we want to exchange with individuals now more than businesses, actually, right? More peer-to-peer, just like what you're doing too, more relational. But it's really hard to formalize financial relationships with people that are so close to you. But it shouldn't be. That's who we should want to pay the most. But it's that friend zone, right? And so when I talk about the gift economy, I think it all starts with a give. How many hours? I think everyone on Pick My Brain, we're gonna maybe potentially implement this to our community. Is if you're a brain, you have to commit to giving 10 hours of your time a year. 10 free hours, however you want, but you have to give that first. So our whole community, and you can draw on it as well. If you give it, you get to go use other people who have offered 10 hours. But once we've reached that, then we charge, all of us. And we set a price floor so that price isn't driven down. So many marketplaces, so I'm an economist by trade, so many marketplaces drive the price down, right? Globalization is a step too far. I don't want to hire someone for $3 an hour. Sorry, not my thing. And that's a bigger conversation. But at Pick My Brain, I would like to set a price floor, and keep it consistent, because globally, you're a human. This is a human. I'm a human. We're all humans. We all have limited time. So therefore, that time spent with us, if someone is requesting my time, is similar to what, your time, and we'll just use each other's time when we need it. So anyways, what conditions can I build? How do I build a marketplace? How do I build an economy? What rules does this economy need to have? And one thing that we're learning is I want everyone to opt in who's on Pick My Brain to be I'm going to give 10 hours of free knowledge every year for the rest of my life. And I'm going to track it, and the world's going to track it. And imagine if I get 100,000 people on this platform that all give 10 hours. I have 1 million hours of knowledge up for grabs for the world.
That's
awesome.
Powerful.
Everything else that happens after that is bonus.
You nailed so many good points there. And something that I've struggled with is some of my closest friends that have come into my life through a mastermind or through coaching or through meeting them on the street or through wherever. It's irrelevant where you meet people, but some of my most difficult conversations is when those closest to me that have become friends over time are hey man, how much do you charge an hour?
Yeah.
Or hey man, can I just pick your brain for 30 or 60 minutes?
Totally. And you're yes, definitely. But
and it puts me in such an awkward position sometimes, because I'm willing, just like you, I'm willing to give and give and give. And I'm willing to just say, hey, whatever it takes to see you succeed. But and I'm much more confident giving a stranger a price, or a stranger, hey man, we can work together for an hour. This is what it looks like. But when it's a friend of mine, I almost feel this internal guilt of just saying, yeah, sure. And this happened last month, where a friend of mine who's not doing so well right now is going through a bit of a rebirth of her own business, was hey, how much do you charge for the hour? I'd love to pick your brain. Yeah. And my honest response was hey, let's just jump on a call and don't worry about the cost.
I know, but when our friends, so that's us stuff. I have that as well, but they are offering a gift and you're I don't want your gift. It's like someone bringing wine to your house and be no, I can't take your wine. You're actually unenabling them to offer. So I'm trying to flip it in my mind as well. I am the same. We're very similar. I believe in that department. We're just let's help everyone we can. But then our energy, then you get it doesn't quite, it's not sustainable. Right. And same with the way we do things, how do we do things sustainable for a long term as something as beautiful as knowledge sharing? So once you reach your 10 hours, if you signed up for the site, now you're going to be charged out at $250 an hour. We're going to set some baselines, $150, $250, $350, you choose, but let people buy time and be show them that you've done your pro bono. It's been used up. And this site will allow us, I believe we all just need that formal mechanism, that tool in place. Definitely, here's the link. So it's all
So
set up.
I have
So
a question
like,
for you.
yeah.
There's so many amazing things you're saying right now. And what's the easiest way? Let's say somebody signs up on your platform, they create a profile, they set their 60-minute rate at, let's say, $250 an hour. Then they've got their 3-month coaching program. They've got products. They've got one-on-one high-ticket consulting. I've seen some of those services, and they range, which is amazing because you don't set a ceiling, right? Which is great. How do you help your users normalize? Hey, like if they get asked, hey, can I pick your brain for 30 minutes? How do you insert like a platform and a link and a business to say, yeah, you can just visit my Pick My Brain profile? And I'm just trying to think, I'm so interested in your response here, because I know sometimes when people, especially people that don't know you well, this year, everyone has spent way more time on Zoom. We've all got calendar links that we know how to use. And it's almost like saying, hey, I just met you. Here's my calendar link.
Yeah.
How do you insert yourself into that conversation so that it doesn't like start the relationship in this weird, like, yeah, you can pick my brain, but immediately you're monetizing?
Yeah, totally. That's such a good question. And it's something that like, I just want to talk with everyone. How are we going to do that together? And so, because again, we're going to be part of a collective. We're all going to be like, we're going to all give 10 hours of our knowledge because that's the right thing to do. And you can give more, but we're asking everyone at a minimum to do that. Right. So we're buying into that world. And then we're all agreeing that after that, we charge with a price floor, right? So at least we're building the container that hopefully Pick My Brain becomes known as the place that isn't weird, and that the person that you're going to respond to with your link knows that this place gives knowledge and then charges once it's done. So hopefully one day, but right now it's new. We're very small, right? We're a beta, we're in growth. What I do is, so I've done about 400, like 350 Pick My Brain calls with people from all around the world, like 70 coffee and conversations, like 50 one-on-ones. I've sold group programs. I just played with the tool because I'm the CEO. So I'm like, all right, let's create some offers. Let's see what economic and social opportunities come from it. Let's play. And what I found to work really well for me is the invitation, the first call is just like 20 minutes to meet, greet, and exchange and touch. Right? Like you said, like a lot of your, everyone in your Facebook group, your values as well. Don't sell me in the first minute. Give me an opening, a 20-minute, and we might do what Zoom did when they cut off the meeting at 45. We actually might, because our system sends an automated call to both parties. So you don't have to dial. It's very internationally friendly. The phone rings. We pick it up. We have our 20-minute call. The call ends. And I'm actually asked, you get a statistic for that. You get to collect. You've done it, and I get to leave you a review. So at the very baseline, right, I'm saying you have to be rewarded for this. You're getting a review, which actually is the number one happiness maker of sharing your knowledge back. Someone being so appreciative.
That. That's awesome.
Yeah. So number one, so you collect the stat, which again goes into this collective. We're all tracking how much knowledge the system is giving back, and how many people within the system are offering. So that you're contributing to that greater good. You get your individual statistic, you get a review. And then again, once your gift is up, people will see that you've given your 10 and now your rate is this. And they're a professional. They'll be like, yeah, makes sense. And so where can I go from there? And you're right, on Pick My Brain, the first entry is a call, but I think people are composed of stacks of offers. Like, can I hire you for a retainer? I wish I knew all the locals that are.
I love this idea of stacks. For those people that are listening who might be unfamiliar with what a stack is or how to create one, can you walk us through? Somebody signs up on Pick My Brain. What's somebody listening to this who gets the question, hey, can I pick your brain on a weekly basis? And maybe they've got a couple services, but maybe they're kind of all over the place. How can Pick My Brain help them create this stack?
Such good questions. Because you got to remember, when you're in your company, it so well, right? And you need someone else to ask you questions to see what they want to understand, which is why it's so valuable to exchange knowledge with people, because this perspective helps you always. Just like So from beginning to end. So let's solve this problem for you, because you're the best case study. Everyone in your community knows that they want to connect with you, right? Regularly. And they'll probably, like you said, you had that problem last week. Someone asked you to pick your brain. They offered to pay. You turned them down because they're a friend.
Well, and the other problem to that, and I would love to use myself as a case study. I love this. The other problem to that is, like, sometimes people frame it in a way, they're like, hey, I just need a couple minutes. And
Yeah,
it's never a couple minutes.
No, it can't be. So we have to all know that. Just like you can't take a diet pill and lose a bunch of weight. We know it takes long-term effects, and Louis can help us with that. Same thing with knowledge. So you're gonna, by boundarying and consciously thinking about, yeah, I actually made a service for that, because I actually get asked that a lot, right? What do we do as entrepreneurs? Our community asks something for us and we deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And when we nail that equation, everyone succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are asking you for time to spend with you, they want to spend time with you, even beyond picking your brain. They just want to spend time with you to think out some things because of how you are able to do that with them. So again, if I asked you that and I saw that you had a page set up that said, I do 30 and 60-minute sessions, and I do 30 for people that just want a quick brainstorm and 60 for those that want to work on something and workshop. My rate for the 30-minute is this, and it's over the phone, and my rate for the 60-minute is this, and it's online. And just to see, and again, you still have your free, your 20-minute free, if whatever your free offer, whatever your gift is. And I see that too. So I'm immediately being like, great, he's ready to go. He does this. And then among our network, among your community, we're like, oh, have you booked a fun session with Karan? Like, have you tried a one-on-one? Did you try the 60-minute? Where'd you go? And then below that, you can have a 4-pack and you could only have a 4-pack. It depends what you want to attract and how you want to help people move forward in life, as little and as much as you want, right? If you just want to do gift, sign up and do gift and be part of a global mission and give 10 hours of your knowledge back to people that might be really interested in what you have to say.
I love that approach. And is the platform also able to sell like a pre-recorded course or like an online sort of like a course program, or does it have to be in exchange for time and consulting?
No, you can sell. So the service listings that you have, primarily our main product was the Pick My Brain call, just a quick call over the phone, the ability to put boundaries on it. You can do over the phone sessions, online sessions like Zoom, one-time payments, which would be a product. If you're like, maybe you could be like, I just did a masterclass on everything I've learned about relationships, personal and professional. It's 60 minutes, secret, and I've done this after talking to so many things. It's $50 and they could buy it on your Pick My Brain profile, and then they would just get an immediate message with that link. However, we're not like, I'd say Gumroad is actually so much better for digital products.
Right.
But that's like a thing that, like, I'm always saying, your stack of offerings should match what your brain and your knowledge, what you want to give back. Because that's what you're collecting on your profile. LinkedIn is a place for us to go to talk about what we've done. Okay. So it talks about our resume. Pick My Brain is a profile that you go to talk about what you want to do and how you want people to receive you. It's a 3D resume. Reid Hoffman used to call LinkedIn the 2.0, resume 2.0, right? But when he was starting, he's like, it's a digital version of your CV. Mm-hmm. Pick My Brain is a 3D. It's interactive. And the primary question that the Pick My Brain profile is asking of you is like, what do you know a lot about and how do you want to share? And where's that button that I can take you up on that offer? Yeah. So I think everyone that has a LinkedIn profile would benefit from having a Pick My Brain profile. And where I think we have LinkedIn beat, and I'm only going to say that like loosely because they're like an incredible organization that has 26 million people on it. But I've been thinking a lot about business models and how when you overlay a business model onto a company, it really dictates your behavior and what happens on that platform. And I don't know if you've seen Social Dilemma, but the business model is predicated on attention. I'm going to buy attention, and people that have the most money get the most attention. And so the business model is rooted in advertising, which results in certain things. LinkedIn's business model is linked to, since day one, recruiters, right? That's who drives their revenue model. People that want to scrape and recruit. So you get bombarded as a user because they've sold that as their business model, which is fine, which is great. They got them really far. But Pick My Brain's business model doesn't, it's very boundaried. The business succeeds when there's more knowledge shared.
Yeah, and I totally agree with the direction of not just what you're doing, but where your company is headed from this knowledge share economy, gift economy. What is the highest priced item that somebody has on Pick My Brain right now?
That's sold or listed?
Both, and you don't have to say names, but just give me an idea of kind of price
Yeah.
point and also what's
Yeah.
the offer.
So on Pick My Brain, you can choose from a set of standard offers that we've templated that you can just upload, but you can also build custom ones and you can have fun with them. And I often recommend that people have fun building custom profiles. So one package we packaged for someone was just like, do you want access to my brain for the year? Unlimited calls, messages, you'll be in my DMs and I'll just help you over the year for 25K.
Wow, that's awesome.
Why not?
Did
4
anyone?
clients. We haven't sold it yet, but we're like, now my idea is, again, what if everyone in the world told me how much they were for a year to have them on call? Why not?
That's cool. So
Trade that.
you've got 4 profiles that have that as an offer.
I've got one profile that has that an offer. But now that what happens for me is when I create an offer like that, then I'm like, ooh, add that to the marketplace. So in our backend, we'll be like, oh, hello brains. We thought this was a cool offer. You can add it to your profile if you want.
Cool.
And this is the idea of it. It's 25K and someone has you on access like an ER doctor. We decide. But then
I would love to make that an offer because
right?
the amount of people I would just say, here you go. And I guess my next question is, and I'm sure the answer is yes, but can that participant, can the buyer, or can the user set up like a payment plan, or like how does that like the pricing functionality work on the back end?
Yeah. So for that one, I would break it down to monthly. I would turn that into monthly. I would sell it as a 25K commitment because it's for the year. You got to sign for the year. But I would say pay monthly, buy paid monthly. Yeah. So we break it down into a retainer.
Have you had any issues with somebody committing to a 2-month or a 3-month engagement with somebody on the platform, but then getting cold feet or not seeing the success that they were promised?
I haven't yet, and that doesn't mean that that's not going to happen. I just think I haven't had as much experience with that. Like that's a very creative offer. That's a new world that we're going to have to get comfortable with. But what Pick My Brain does is we call them our knowledge-based contracts. Every relationship is a set of terms. Every single relationship. So we just digitize it. And again, you're signing up to commit. When you buy that service, you're signing a contract. So you as the brain can decide the cancellation policies for that. You decide your own values of how that relationship might go or end if you guys made a bad decision. But for the most part, it's just like a light formal agreement that digitizes, be like, yeah, cool. I'm going to have you on speed dial for an entire year. And maybe we'll check in every 3 months to be like, am I abusing that? Or am I not, let's figure out. But I'm sure, again, imagine a marketplace of like 1,000 of really successful people that are available for 25K for on-demand calling. That's even more efficient. So now we're value-based pricing, not exactly time and money, but like still compensating for this exchange. And you're also probably a more comfortable way. Yeah.
You're making that knowledge so much more accessible, and you're giving everybody access, not just, people that are already at a certain threshold. Because there's a lot of conversations, and I'm sure you're probably having similar conversations where people are on such different ends of the spectrum. For some people, a 2, 3, 4K month, and they're like, oh my God, it's the best month ever. For other clients, it's like 100K months, and they're like, why is business down this month? So there's such a spectrum of that. There's such a unattainable access to people sometimes when you're not there. And I think your platform is really addressing that.
Totally. And like what happens in a society when people become unaccessible?
Right.
I think not good things. Or like, could we agree to make sure that we're all accessible to some extent? And this is what everyone, no matter how rich you are, because actually the people that are very wealthy and successful actually want to give more, right? Because they've reached that level. So they actually contribute more free hours to the system than people that need to compensate, that are growing their career. And that will even out. But yeah, I think there's another value, right, that I could promote is like, hey guys, don't you think society would just be like even tighter if we were all accessible to some extent? There was no barriers to entry to someone because of what they've achieved. An 8-year-old might be able to call. So, like some level. And if when you sign up and you commit the 10, that means that means I can book, it's tracked. I see it. He's done his 10. He was accessible. She was accessible. They were accessible. Cool. Yeah, I think that's really important. You're right. Because you and I both want to, I saw your post, like we're looking for a mentor that really like can level you up. And we're beta testing this idea of this global mentorship program
Are
right
you in
now.
the trends group?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I'm lurking right now.
Yeah, that's all good. I just joined a couple weeks ago based on a friend's
Yeah.
recommendation.
It was a really good request. Yeah.
So there's so many ways I want to take this conversation. I'm loving it, by the way. Are you?
Yeah, I'm loving it.
So my first question is, I'm saying my first question like that. This is the only question I've asked you all podcast so far. But did your business, or how did your business change this year with the pandemic?
I mean, the pandemic is such a good thing for us because immediately, again, so let's do some statistics. I think 60% of people under the age of 50 will never return to the office again. Holy crap, that's big. This was pre-COVID, but 85% of the jobs that are going to exist by 2030 don't exist today. Okay, so we're in a reinvention. Pick My Brain lets you reinvent yourself. COVID, no travel, no events, new way to connect, new way to exchange, new way to get information. Human connection, more important than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Helping, more important than anything. You know, we got to stop consuming stuff. I'm an environmental economist by trade, and it's just I vowed never to ever start a product or a company that dealt with any kind of supply chain or products because it's just not needed. Too much, way too much beyond the planetary boundaries in such a grotesque way that we should be so ashamed every single day, and we should all focus on, like, it's so bad. I had to leave that industry because it's so bad. So like, let's learn how to create an economy that buys things that don't contribute to that problem. And like greater mission, again, the economy suffers when we stop buying things right now. All metrics of how we measure our global report card is hurt when we stop consuming stuff. It would hurt if we all meditated for a day. It would just crash. Like meditation would add to the negative, right? Because we're not consuming, we're not energizing. Right. And yet we're actually it's actually, when you meditate, it's actually has the most value because we're not utilizing resources. We're still having high value. We're quiet. So there's got to be these other things to purchase because that is what an economy is exchange. But can we get more creative with what we can buy? If you like, I just bought someone for $25K and I have them on call. Can you imagine how smart I'm going to be in a year? Can we share those things?
The return, and I don't know if you've even talked about this like in your own marketing or in your own business, but I mean, it's so obvious to me, like the return on the knowledge, the return on the true investment. It's like the ROC, return on conversation.
Yes. Oh, good one. That's so good. I always say, oh, that's so good. We should just coin you and do a conversation because I feel like that amplifies your business too. Like the return is so big.
And you know what? Also, like something that you guys are doing is that there's so many pick my brain moments that happen where you give your time, you give the advice, you give the 30 or 60 minutes, and it always goes over. It's never the 30 or 60.
Always.
It's like, and then a month later, you're having the exact same conversation. Or 2 months later, and you realize that conversation fell on deaf ears. Nobody made it. The other person never even took it, and you're spinning your wheel. So I just felt compelled to share that based on something you just said that really triggered that in me. But like some of my best investments, I would say almost all of them, like 80% of my best investments are other people.
Always. Like, isn't that how we, like, so I think, again, like, instead of collecting, like, if we were to turn this into a game, I just want to collect as many perspectives as I possibly can collect, because I know it'll make me, like, it's like I imagine myself as a painting with all these colors if I collect perspectives. And again, we're going to try to use gamification and the idea of like progress, right? Humans love to progress within Pick My Brain. So we're going to hopefully encourage people. Have you picked the brain of someone from every country yet? That's a lifetime pursuit.
That's cool.
That would be a such a sick badge to wear ever, right? Like, so can we create games like that for people to, again, like you said, we know that society will get stronger the more we talk. We know our relationships with our loved ones are strengthened with communication as well. Why not just the world too? Why? And if that's the case, can I go buy conversations?
Mm. So as of today, Maxine,
Yeah.
how many active profiles are there in Pick My Brain?
So we have 246. So it's been invite only beta for the last 3 years, just testing and watching how people share their knowledge. We're going to be going more live at the end of October. So in 3 weeks. And so we have 246 live active accounts in our profile. We've done in the last 2 years, like about 2,000 connections. This year was $100,000 of knowledge transferred, much more gifted, actually, which I love. So on our global dashboard, we'll always say how much money we've made from our knowledge and how much we've gifted in terms of valuation of our knowledge.
Awesome.
And all industries, really starting to expand globally, brains from multiple countries. And again, the common interest of a brain is everyone on our platform are people that are genuinely interested in sharing their knowledge with some boundaries in place. Yeah, and just watching them, we're all learning as we do this. This is a new world, right? We're like, all right, let's like watch each other sell each other's knowledge. What can you bundle? What did you package? What did you sell? How'd you do it?
Yeah, I mean, there's again, I feel like, I think it was the book, The One Thing, where it was like,
so good.
What's the one thing you need to do such that by doing it, everything else either becomes unnecessary or irrelevant? And I feel like in this conversation, I'm like, okay, the one thing that could make everything irrelevant is just create your profile and direct all traffic to your profile.
Nice. Yes. Right. It's like, I want it to be this legacy profile that I have 122 reviews on my profile of people thanking me.
That's
for
amazing.
Sharing my stuff. That's unreal. I read it when I'm sad. I read it when I'm having a low day. I read it to regurgitate what I'm good at. I read it when I have imposter syndrome. I read it when I want to understand myself.
I love that
At the very least,
aspect.
you guys have that. Like Calendly's a great tool, and I will try to be as good as Calendly once I get more investment into how smooth it is tech-wise. Ours is close. But Calendly is not a community. It doesn't have a mission. It's not a goal. It doesn't showcase you, and it doesn't collect reviews. And so I'm like, take a step forward. Like I'm not into just tools now. I'm into like, something much more than a tool, because it's very individual. We have to start thinking as a collective so hard this year. Like we gotta all team up. And like you're the perfect example actually of a direction we want to move, which is you could have your own marketplace. You could have your own world. Like again, your Facebook group. I want to see everyone in your Facebook group who's available for engagement beyond just talk. Like now that I know them, I could do business with them because you help us get to know each other. So if you benefited from all of those like affiliates from knowledge instead of products, oh my God, so much better.
Yeah. Okay. You really piqued my interest right now in that. So someone listening to this, they're like, okay, Maxine, I'm sold. No more am I going to just give my time because besides that 10 hours, but they want to create their profile. Walk me through, what does the first 30 days look like? Walk me a little bit through onboarding. Walk me through the first 60 days and what somebody could expect. Okay.
God damn, your question's so good. You are the question master. I'm just thinking of your headline already for your Pick My Brain profile. And it's such a good question because we're also going through our next round of growth. So we onboarded our first 246 one-on-one very consciously. We're just building the tech to onboard like 1,000 and bring in 1,000 and ask 1,000 to donate 10 hours. So we have 10,000 hours to work with and do that. So it'll change. But right now, what you would do to sign up for our beta is you'd head to our site, pickmybrain.world. If you haven't seen a .world, it's intentional, and start your profile. And that when you start your profile, get ready to go through an experience of being prompted with questions that are going to pull out information that I need to know to want to connect with you, right? Bigger questions that I haven't seen profiles go for. Like I'm really trying to draw out your passion, how you can help me, what you love to talk about, right? Like what information do I need to see to be like, awesome. So you'll go through a series of prompts that will help you build a knowledge resume, essentially. And then you'll hit your services tab or your offerings tabs. And this is where you package and price your different offers. And you'll see a bunch of templates that we've pre-created that we've seen be successful in the marketplace. First one, standard Pick My Brain call. Do you want to turn on a 30-minute Pick My Brain call, put in a price, put in a description, there's a custom welcome message, turn it on. Do you want to be available for 30-minute sessions, 60-minute sessions, a day, 4 sessions, a month? You can turn those on. We've pre-templated them. And build your stack. And then you can also not use any of our templates if you want and just create one custom offer that's your one thing. Maybe we just come up with one thing because, or maybe we have fun and sample it all, It's a play for it, and it's meant to be used continuously and to experiment continuously and to respond. Like maybe sometimes someone will ask me a request. I'm like, oh, I don't even have that packaged. What a great request. I'd be willing to serve that. I didn't know you wanted that. I'll go bundle it. How does this price seem?
Right. And I think based on your pricing, you allow users to have like 3 services, 5 and unlimited type of thing, right? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So everyone can sign on for a free Pick My Brain profile, and we'll give you one free offer of your choice, free or paid, plus your 10 hours of free time that you're opting into.
Got it.
If you want to unlock these other opportunities to make money and have our system cover the bookings, the scheduling, the invoicing, the reviews, the reminders, the kind of management of that contract, it's $30 a month. If you want to unlock it all, it's $500. Right now, we have a special for our first 1,000 that's ridiculous. It's $300 for the year to unlock everything at our lowest transaction fee, because we're going to be changing our tech a lot, or we're going to be advancing, and our first 1,000 are just going to be our crew. And it's such a no-brainer, like one session, and it's to play, and it's to build a knowledge profile, and it's to be part of this new community in this economy. So yeah, you'd go through, you'd list the services that you want, you'd submit for review. Once you're like, I like my profile, you'd submit it for review. Mm-hmm. Our team will be notified, and then we're going to book you for a session. So we'll come in and we'll book you. We'll show you how the automated call system works and go through the process with you, get to know you, talk about your profile, give you some suggestions of how to make it stronger.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you're willing to help with like the copywriting or like the aspects, because people are, I would say, genuinely not great at selling themselves.
Terrible.
And it would take someone like you or someone on your team to take a profile from like 80% to like 95%.
Totally. Just like there's a whole marketplace of people that help you build your LinkedIn profiles. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that actually allowed me to fund my startup in the beginning, because we're bootstrapped, I just took a little bit of investment, but for the most part, we bootstrapped for 3 years, was selling this program, this 5-week program called Becoming a Brain. And I'd bring like 10 unique professionals from all around the world that were interested in building a creative revenue stream and building a knowledge profile and thinking about how to frame it and coming up with unique offers. And over the course of 5 weeks, we would build a profile, create some content, and launch it to our network in a creative way. So that like kickstarted us. So yeah, I think you're right. People are awful at selling themselves, which is why they extra need this tool. I'm like, don't worry, guys, all my prompts will help you. Don't worry, I got you.
And what has been,
yeah.
This is such an interesting conversation. And what has been your approach thus far to someone creates a profile, they get onboarded. How do you prevent that person from feeling crickets? So I'm onboarded, I create my profile. I'm like, oh my God, guys, I've got my profile, I've got my services, but it's been 2 weeks now and I haven't had a hit yet. I haven't even had a free call. I haven't had anyone take. So I guess a multi-part question, really getting around like, how are you driving traffic to profiles? Is it primarily inter-community? Are you getting external traffic? I'm so fascinated by that.
That's such a good question. It's something we're working on right now, really hard, because of what we're trying to do is build a marketplace, which is like the hardest startup to create ever, because you have to basically build 2 companies at the same time. So you have to build up the supply, and then once you have enough supply, you generate the demand. And we are in phase 1 of our pursuit. So we're really good at getting people up and running and helping them package and price, but then it is up to them. It's a tool right now, more so it's like a Shopify tool. Hey, if you launch your offers, you have to let your community know it's available. We can't market for everyone quite yet. We definitely start an internal, so this is a 3-part question. So number 1 we want you to build offers that you want to promote, that you're literally feel good about being like, hey guys, legit open for 10 hours of free knowledge. Here you go. Or, hey guys, just created a sweet offer. It's a one-on-one wow session. I only have 10 of them and this is what we do in it.
Can you prevent people from exploiting that 10 hours? Let's say my friend Tom.
Yeah.
Can I prevent
10 of them?
Yeah, can I prevent Tom from booking all 10 hours? Okay, good.
Yeah. There'll be rules, and same thing. Yeah. There'll be rules to make sure that so again, if we had 1,000 people give 10 hours, we have 10,000 hours, that it's distributed. Right. That's the goal, is like, as an economist, your aim is always to distribute as many resources as you can equitably. So we'll put the rules in place if Tom can't book you 10 times in a row. Really good questions. I feel like you need to be a tech, like you'd be a really good startup question advisor.
I'm just asking these questions, and it's nice to talk to somebody who's got experience in tech. My experience, I've been in sales, I've been in tech sales before, and I just love bringing the human, obviously, to every conversation.
I know. Yeah.
But so like, I guess is the next phase going to include more of, okay, how do we start getting eyeballs into this? I totally agree that it's up to the profile to drive traffic. Okay.
Right now it is, but again, we are a collective. Our mission is to create a database, a searchable directory of all the world's brains who are open and available for cool stuff. We want to be as big as Amazon, okay? But instead of searching products, you can buy conversations and one-on-one sessions with unique professionals from all around the world, and you can buy things like access to them for the year, okay? So we're gonna build up to that marketplace so people can go there and shop. That's the intention. Takes time.
You know what, Maxine? Something that just came to mind that I haven't shared with you because I was waiting for this call and it just made me think about it. But indirectly, through your Pick My Brain event that I went to, I've generated about $5,500. Literally from your one event.
That's amazing.
From like somebody buying a course to somebody actually buying a dinner. And it came through a referral, through another referral, but it all started with you.
Oh, you guys see, and that's amazing. That makes me so happy. And I'll never capture all the benefits our platform creates because it's hard, but I'm trying to. But your dinners do the same. Imagine if you asked us all, like in a year, what happened. Like I'm hooking up with Bex, Nikki, and Aaliyah, and that's value. Right. And this is what you do. So
I love that you're doing the reviews. I think that's actually genius because I did an event a couple days ago, and I popped into one of the breakout rooms, which I rarely do because I just like moderating and asking and facilitating. But I popped into one of the rooms and somebody was bawling their eyes out. And some of my events get very emotional, they get very deep, they get vulnerable. So I just popped into a room, and it was great that other people were holding space for this individual. Awesome. Yeah. But that's the stuff I don't see typically, right? I don't pop into 20 different breakout rooms. I don't pop into the conversations. I don't know what is keeping you up at night. And somebody at the end of Tuesday's event, during our wrap towards the end of the event, was like, Karan, like, you don't realize what's happening in these breakout rooms. Like it's gold, it's magic, it's changing lives. And what you just said about like, sometimes you'll never know the benefits of Pick My Brain because people will never tell you these things, and they'll walk away with a new connection, a new friendship, a new business opportunity. There's so many benefits that you can't just see today that have this like compounding effect and impact, just like anything else. It's like your conversation with Nikki or Bex or Elia is going to have this forever, right? It's not just that you guys met once. It's like it's one, exactly.
You just keep going like this, and it starts here 100%.
So I love the review capability that, hey, if you Pick My Brain and we have a great call, leave me a review because to your point, it's like we have shitty days. We have sleepless nights. We have days where we want to shut the doors on our business.
Yes.
Sometimes all it takes is that one person in your ear or that one review to completely lift your spirits.
Can we just talk about that for a second? Like, yes, and how important it is when you are trying something new for someone to be like, you're doing a good job. I see you. I'm going to tell you value that you created. And you're like, I have the courage for 10 years to do everything, and that is, it's so true. Like, why, if that's the case, then why can't we build a tool that makes it easier for us to like give each other that courage that allows us forever to create value for the world?
And something that I haven't told you,
Yeah.
that I shared with Brandy
Oh,
after
yeah.
our first call. Remember our first Zoom was like a couple months ago. You were in a coffee shop. I was in my old condo. And after our call, I said to Brandy, I said, wow, I think I just found like the first ever company that I actually want to like collab with, or that I actually like, go deeper with. I actually want to like somehow partner up, because I totally like agree with the mission, the vision, the values, and there's such a need and there's such a synergy obviously between what we do. And we've talked about this, but after that first call that we had, I literally went to Brandy. I was like, whoa, I think this is like the company.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I literally, the same thing happened to me. And when I like first met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, he has a podcast called Human to Human. And oh my gosh, he brings people together and dinners and like creates conversation. And oh my goodness, his Facebook group is so good. And he's so good at like, again, illuminating people's gifts. And he does office hours. I'm like, we need to collaborate. And I sent you a Facebook message. I was like, and then we went to each other's events and we're like,
I know.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing. We're just like unlocking all these economic and social opportunities among people by bringing them together in unique ways. And I'll just layer over the economy part, right? Yeah, like how can we imagine if your pursuit was to unlock as many of these connections, and you see in your business that that's what's growing, right? I really think, I love that you said return on conversation, because I often say, like how I make all decisions in my life is to increase my ROL, which is my return on life. And my return on life has ROC in it, return on conversation. It has other things in it too, but the world that we live in right now primarily prioritizes return on investment, ROI. And it is like most things we do. No, it's a spectrum. We're a just like gender is a spectrum. We're not kind of one or the other. We're a bunch. And there's more things that are important than ROI, ROL, ROC, ROE. What are all our ROs? And let's figure out our KPIs once we partner, because I think we could have we could make the mission so big as we want. How many connections do you and I want to make? And who can we bring in to make more connections? Let's keep partnering. I am like, one other thing that I really want to flip later with this business that will help me get there is the shareholder ownership model. Right now in the economy, you can only own a company if you give them money, essentially, or time, right? The stock market allows you to exchange money for shares. The game has changed. Let's look at Instagram for an example. Instagram is now like owned by 8 people. So all that wealth got transferred to like 8 people in a few banks. Okay, but what creates the consistent valuation of Instagram? It's us. It's all of us. So imagine you and I, it's the people that literally maintain that wealth. And that wealth is being captured by like 8 to 10 individuals, which we know fucks up the whole system. What if you and I were small percent holders of Instagram because we were contributing content to it? And this works with Facebook and Google and all these, like we are contributing time and energy and effort and ideas and opinions and art. Where's my shares? With Pick My Brain, I want the entire network to own the platform eventually. I'm going to do my cap table such that the network owns the platform, so that when they share their knowledge, their stock goes up. And when they buy knowledge, their stock goes up. Like, doesn't that sound like
such a good idea?
Right? Yeah. It's just taking this model and going like this with most things. And I think COVID has allowed us to start to really do that. And again, I think, partnerships. I'm like, how do we get the world's smartest and most interesting people all in a directory, all sharing their knowledge, all making brain babies, having brain babies? Yeah.
Brain babies. I like that. So Maxine.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good. I've got, this has been such an amazing conversation, and I've got three final questions to bring us
Okay.
home. You cool with that?
Yeah, I think I know what they are.
So my first question is, what are you most excited about in the next 60 days?
Our launch. Actually trying to get like doing a campaign, my first big campaign that is going to ask invite people to upload their knowledge into a platform I created to trust me to do that. I've made that request, that ask of my community in 60 days. And that's big. Yeah, that's a big one I'm excited for. Yeah.
What's the date of that, just so I can follow up?
Yeah, I want it. It's so funny. I'm like so hesitant.
I know, and that's why. And listen, you don't have to answer it, but I definitely believe in the vision and what you're doing, and I encourage everyone listening to this to like go look at Maxine's profile, go book a free call with her. That's the best way to actually get to know her, and you definitely will leave that conversation in a better place.
Yeah. Well, you too. I mean, let's build your profile after this. Yeah. So October, like mid November for sure. Like I'm charted to have my next tech mid October. So I just want to make sure that the tech, like it's like hosting a Thanksgiving dinner, and I can I'm trying to feed 100 people, but I only have food for 20. Like I want to make sure that it's solid. So like yeah, I'm really confident to say by the next 2 months, and I would love to have like 1,000 people up and running by the new year too. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My next question is, and I know you're a big reader of books.
Yeah.
You don't even have to name one. I'd love to hear a couple book recommendations that you would recommend to those listening. Books that have had impacted your life in a positive way, whether they're business, whether they're development, whether they're just whatever. Are there books that come to mind that you would love to revisit every year, or that you'd recommend for people to read to again have that compounding interest and effect on their life?
Yeah, okay, good one. I'll name some in different categories. So feeding off from our conversation, there's one book called The Future, and it's written by Jaron Lanier, who was one of the creators of the internet. He has some really big thoughts he's in the social dilemma. He has some really strong thoughts about technology and how it was intended to democratize information when it really didn't. It just became another capitalist system and where it broke down. So that he actually implanted the idea of like how I could flip shareholder ownership too, in the same way that it got taken advantage of. So that book just made me think like a huge new thought. And I love books that make me, that, like you said, it's compounding. I'll never let that one go. Sacred Economics by Charles Einstein. He's so many things, but he talks about, again, the economy, primarily from an environmental and social perspective, not a tech, but again, inputting in our imaginations, this ability for this new economy to exist, one that actually serves the human soul, and the environmental soul and the spiritual soul and the connection soul. So how that works. And he wrote this book called Sacred Economics that paints this new world that will never leave your mind again in your head. Another really influential book that influenced me was called Natural Capitalism. It's because I'm an environmental economist and I monetize the unquantifiable. I'm really interested in, and I know monetization can be a really ugly word as well, but we have to put a value on something in order for the world to prioritize it and account for it and monitor it and track it. And nature doesn't have a valuation on it because it's impossible to value, because it's ever giving and compounding, incredible, and you'll never be able to value an ecosystem. And but we need to start valuing it, because if we don't, the global scene sees an ecosystem that has like so many species in it as the same value as an ecosystem that doesn't, and they will buy it and burn it because it's not being counted. So that book like reminded me, right, and just puts in this idea of how do we compensate or put a value on positive externalities, negative externalities, and systems. Carbon should have a price. Pollution should have a price. Plastic, all of it should have a price. So Natural Capitalism helped me get there. How to Win Friends and Influence People, I listen to it all the time. Whenever I'm like out of sync, I pull it up on my audiobook and listen to a chapter. And I just bite size it all the time. It's just like packed with and I love the audiobook because he reads it so well. And it's just a nice piece of like knowledge. And then the last one I'll say is I'm a really big fan of Robert Greene. He's written Mastery and 50 Human Laws, I forget what it's called, but he studies history to such an in-depth, he studies it really in depth, and then he takes lessons from all of these different generations and years and builds it into topics. So for his book Mastery, every chapter is a different story about how someone got to mastery from all eras and all generations. I mean, I really like that, because I find like a lot of books, they just focus on like now, and I'm like, but I need the like, I also need to know how like, you know, Darwin got there, and like an artist got there, and a musician got there, and a tech founder got there. So I find that book, that was like a really good palette of stories of stumbling on and finding and discovering and falling, but getting to what is the pursuit of mastery. So those are the 5. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Robert Greene has come up a couple times in conversations just this month, actually.
When that
I think it's called the 48 Laws of Power.
That's it. Thank you. 48 Laws of Power. Yeah. And it's intense. Yeah.
And my last question.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, every brain wakes up. Every person in the world wakes up. Every city, every country, every continent. They wake up tomorrow morning, open up their bedroom curtains, and they're all looking at the exact same billboard. Except tomorrow, Maxine gets to control the message of what's written on that billboard for the entire world to see. What message would you share?
Such a good question. Okay, let me just think. I'm just like imagining like all different ages and different cultures, and like what binds us, and like what would cause action. Like I started with thinking like, you are valuable, but it's just it's not actionable enough for me. I'd probably be like, upload your brain, save the world button.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
upload your brain, save the world. Maxine, where is the best and most obvious place people can follow up and learn more about you and stay up to date?
Yeah, well, Pick My Brain for sure. Those are all my entries into this world, all the ways I'd love to receive you. Primarily Instagram is like my account of choice, where I share all the behind the scenes of like this building up of this startup, because we are pretty like closed right now. But the story that's evolving, and yeah, primarily those 2. Pretty soon more as we build up. But yeah, if you're like interested in, actually, you know what? We're hosting a brain dating event on October 15th. I just have to change the name from brain dating because I got a lawsuit. And so we're just in the process. And
You're right. That somehow never came up in conversation, but that's okay. I'm super glad how this podcast came out. So that'll definitely be part 2 if you're down for a part 2.
I think podcasters should do part 2s, part 3s, part 4s, part 5. That is the most like interesting, like, hey, let's check in and then let's listen to our last one and see how far we went. Both of us, where were we both at? I love that idea. Definitely in for chapter 2. But yeah, October 15th, if you're interested in just feeling what the brain community is like, and to meet some brains and to hear them talk about their offers and to meet a bunch of people, October 15th and November 1st are events that anybody is welcome to. Yeah. And then from there, you can start to build a profile too. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Maxine, thank you so much for being such an amazing guest. It's such an amazing conversation, and I'm excited to see how our relationship deepens going forward. So thank you so much.
I just want to say one thing. We're like now committed to partnering, because we said it on a podcast.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here, folks. Yeah.